Easy to slip, don't want you to fall. I just want it, let make out a baller. Answer that text, don't answer her calls. Yeah, she sent me a text, don't answer her call. She love when I flex and shop in the mall.
Talk to me, my boy. What's
So
good?
with it, for those who don't know, man, state yourself, man.
Oh shit. Cämplex Cam, south side of the ad representing, you know what I'm saying? We here, man. I'm excited to be here, you know what I'm saying? Feeling good, in a really good place in life. Just enjoying this shit. Enjoying being an inspiration to my people. That's the best part about it. So yeah.
Your people, man, you know, who inspires you to do what you do?
That's a great question. I'm really self-driven, honestly, bro. Like really self-motivated in a lot of the things that I do, just in general. Creatively, Kirby John Raymond is a big inspiration behind Pierre Moss. Virgil, rest in peace. He was a huge inspiration. My dad, he's not like a creative in any type. He's not really like a, fashion-oriented type of nigga, but just the principles he instilled in me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the things that he taught me when I was young and coming up, and then getting to a point where I'm, now becoming a man, he's still been able to instill certain things in me that I'm able to apply to my brain and, up to my life in general. So he's definitely an inspiration. So those three, and then, I'm just inspired by life. Like, that's the main one. So everything as far as the experiences I go through and the lessons I learn and, the people that I interact with, everybody teaches me shit that I'm able to use in my art and in my brand. So, yeah.
What were like the downfalls you had to overcome within the clothing business?
Shit, man. It's like really hard. I don't want to say hard. It's challenging to learn the industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's so many different aspects of it that, somebody who's starting out and doesn't really know anything about it can get involved in, and trying to start at point A and figure out how to get to the next point after that, like, is so many different steps to figuring it out. So I think really figuring out how to start and then understanding like what to do next or how to market myself or put myself out there more to where people can understand what it was that I was doing, and then getting them to understand, like, that was the biggest aspect, like, because I feel like Cämplex Theory is, without being cliche, it's complex. Like, it's very, like, you have to pay attention to what's going on in order to be able to put all the pieces together that are involved in the brand. But I feel like I'm getting to a point now where I'm able to communicate the things that I'm doing within the brand well enough to where people can relate and understand it, and be able to want to tap in. Yeah. So I think that was the biggest hurdle that I had to get over. And now I was just getting myself out there more and figuring out the best way to do that without breaking away from the authenticity of the brand itself, because it is an extension of myself. So
I seen you, like, you getting it together, you thriving, like, how does it, like, who inspires your artwork, man? As a kid, were you big into art?
Nah, I was big into sports. Well, I won't say big into sports, like, I still had my, creative, I guess, inclinations, but I didn't really get my creative tick until like late in high school. I think growing up, it was more just, early getting into anime, like watching Pokemon and shit like that, or just the movies that I was seeing and wanting to draw different shit out of the books that I was reading, or like, different magazines that I would get into or whatnot. I think that was probably like the earliest signs of it. And then in high school is when I started like getting more into style and finding my own personal style, ganging up with like Tiso, Zay, Zeke and all them, you know what I'm saying? And just like doing the dressing shit for real, which inspired me to do more and like figuring out how to make my own shit to add to my personal style. So I started doing custom shit early, like 2010, I think, you know what I'm saying? Like taking my dad's old work shirts and, cutting the sleeves off. Back then there was like, the studded belts and shit where niggas was, tucking shirts in and rocking that shit like that. So I was putting those on, pockets and whatnot, just doing different shit. And then, that's how I got known for doing the clothes early, and then that shit grew into I guess that on a bigger scale while I was at UNT, doing more customs, doing shit for organizations, and then really finding my voice as a creative. Like, I guess that DIY way really helped out a lot, because I was able to really just put out the things that I wanted to put out without it being looked at as like, oh, that's not a trend, or oh, that's not what's up right now. Like, nah, nigga, this is what I want to do, you know what I'm saying? And it looked good. Like, it was helping me stand out more and more. So I kept doing it. You know, people on campus was fucking with a harder, one of their own shit that looked like what I had going on, one of their own customs that they could say like, oh, ain't nobody else got this for sure. Like, and then, you know, after that, I got asked to do fashion shows on campus. So I'm like, oh, hell yeah, we in this all now, you know what I'm saying? Like, and this, from that time in high school, 10 to me doing my first show on campus in 2017, just building that organic following from that point on, or from then on to that show at UNT. And then from 2017 until now, like, seeing how everything has grown, it was kind of like I look at it like a story with different chapters, really, because like I said, I use myself for inspiration, so I'm just continuing to be inspired by that same person who was doing the custom shit in high school, and now applying what I didn't know then to what I'm doing now, which is where I'm, you know, that's the connect, and that's why I'm able to be, you know, inspirational towards the people I'm inspiring, and doing shit like the pop-ups we were talking about, and, you know, putting on things that are gonna help put people in place like I wish I could have been put in place early on to be, you know, further ahead now. But I look at this shit like a journey, bro, and I'm exactly where I need to be.
That's live.
Yeah, bro.
But at the same time, you know, how are you having to explain your brand to people? Like, if you were to describe your brand, you know, what would it be? Whenever people want to just ask you what it is, man.
So, Cämplex Theory is, okay, so I gotta break down the levels. This is my first time really doing this on camera, so I'm gonna do it as effectively as possible. But, so there's Cämplex Studios, and that's the umbrella of my creative potential, in a sense. And so, under that umbrella, there's Cämplex Theory, which is the clothing brand. And through that, which is just one of the lenses that I have creativity that I can see through, I'm just pushing out the things, like I said, that I feel will inspire others to do what they want to do and be able to tell the story and the messages that I've had within for a long time that I'm just not learning how to communicate to the masses. So essentially, Cämplex Theory is a creative platform that's going to not only put me in place to continue to tell my story and give out those messages, but put others in place who have, you know, talents in whatever respect that they do, in order for them to be as great as, you know, they can be, like, with their potential. Like, if I put somebody in place, for example, who could curate the space for my pop-up, and the pop-up video goes viral, and somebody says, oh, who did this space? Like, who created it for you? And I point out the person that did it. Now they got to deal with some big brand that is, you know, putting them in a position that they didn't know they could be in. You know what I'm saying? So I know that I have the vision, and it's like, all right, if I'm continuing to execute it and follow my purpose and doing what I know I need to do, everybody's gonna eat, including myself. So like I said, with the journey, it's just a matter of following suit and doing what I need to do, and just being patient, bro.
Think about patience, it's almost like you can't really, you know, think about it too much, man.
You can't.
You
You can't.
do you feel like your brand is just like for the people? You know, I feel like it's a big, you know, coalition between anime and, you know, Black Pride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely for the people, but I don't limit the type of people it's for. You know what I mean? Like, of course, I'm pushing things out. I remember, you know, the collection that we were talking about from 2020, Where Do We Go From Here? I had a piece, or a couple of pieces from this set that I did, and it was called the And My Next pieces. And essentially it was the design was a target that was on the back of the jacket, and it had And My Next on the back of it. So the piece had dual meaning, but one of the meanings was, am I the next one to be hit from behind by somebody who, you know, wants to take me out because of the way I look, or, you know, officer of the law, somebody of that standard who just hates me because of who I am or because of the way that I look, you know, and that I don't look like them. And so I'm trying to remember it was like one of those major deaths by a police officer that happened around that time. I can't remember.
Trayvon.
I don't think it may. Nah, I wouldn't Trayvon because that was while we was still in high school. I think it was. It wasn't George Floyd. It may have been George Floyd. It may have been George Floyd.
Because it was on camera though.
Right, exactly. And so I remember that year, it was like, damn, like so much going on. So I had in my mind, like, you know, I don't feel safe around these, like just in general around certain people. And, you know, that came out through the art. So I said, I told that story to say like, I'm gonna always make pieces that speak to my people and that they can relate to and put on and, you know, they can feel empowered by, but I don't wanna limit myself to only doing, you know, things for that culture or for our culture, I should say, because that's ultimately limiting myself. Like, you know, taking race out of everything, like we are a human race and I want to inspire everybody, bro. Like I don't want to just limit myself to inspiring one type of people. Like I want to make sure that, you know, if this message relates to somebody who doesn't look like me because of different reasons other than the fact that it's supposed to relate to somebody that looks like me, I can't control that, you know what I'm saying? So why limit myself to being able to do that? And that's just how I view that shit, so. We
shouldn't like really have to deal with the race thing, really.
Yeah.
I feel like we all aliens, you know what I mean?
Hey, to somebody.
So, some people are crazy, whatever. We all different. Fact. But, you know, what was your first, you know, racial experience? Like, what's an experience where you was like, wow, like, I'm black. You know what I mean? Everybody's had that check.
Damn. I remember a vivid experience when I was at UNT and, you know how it is, like parking on campus or trying to park in like surrounding areas with like properties and shit that belong to the campus. I thought I was finessing some shit and parked in this one apartment complex that was kind of small, but it had a specific visitor sign that I read every day just to make sure I wasn't tripping. And that house said something along the lines of, you can't park between these hours and you good. So I said, bet, I got class for an hour, I'm straight. I should be all right by the time I get back, right? I get out my car this one day, it was like a random ass Tuesday or some shit. And this older white dude comes out of the apartment just yelling at me. And you could tell he like, just the tone of what he was saying already had like a racist undertone. And then he was just trying to get on my ass about where I parked. And I'm like, bro, it's a sign right there. I'm finna go to class. Like, I'm not trying to hear shit you saying. And then the next thing that comes out of his mouth that he about to go get his gun. And then he called me, you know what? And I was like, you know what, dog? I'm a college student. I ain't got nothing on me right now. So it's like, let me go ahead and just move my shit, bro. Cause I feel like that spot wasn't worth my life at the end of the day. And the look he had in his eyes, bro, I'm like, bro, he just hates me because of how I look.
He's ready to check out.
You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have nothing to do with how his day was going. He just came out here because he saw me doing that shit. And it made me think like, if I looked like him when he had tripped so hard, like, you know what I'm saying? And those thoughts, because of what he said, are the only reason that they came. Because he could have been a property manager and just wanted me to move. But the fact that he took it there, I was like, all right, bro. But, you know, I can't say that I've been blessed to not have experienced a lot of those experiences. Just growing up and, you know, being from where we're from, it's like, we could have had that, but we come from a pretty black city, bro. So it's good that we didn't necessarily have that. And I just thank my parents for, you know, raising me in a diverse way. Like they put me in a lot of different rooms that there were people who didn't look like me, you know what I'm saying? And allowed me to be able to grow up with people that I couldn't always relate to in order to be able to learn how to relate to them. And so I've just been able to apply those lessons over life. And yeah, it's helped me out a lot, to say the least.
What's like a moment like where you had to overcome something, man, where it was just like, you know, why is this happening? You can't control it, but at the same time, you got to get out of it.
Damn, bro. This is my first time talking about this on camera too. Shit, you digging deep. I like that shit.
It's chopping game.
I almost caught a case, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. On some other shit. Like when I was about to leave UNT, and I won't go too into detail about that shit, but it was one of those things.
Whoever's in it is John and Doe.
There you go. So yeah, you know niggas, and you know how we get when we trying to get some money, bro. Like, you know, And when we not as up as we could be because of other factors. So it was one of them situations. I was about to come home from school. I didn't have as much money as I wanted. John presented an opportunity to me that was on some shicey shit as far as like the way that it had to be done. It was some scammy shit, you know what I'm saying? And had it not been on as grand of a scale as it was, to the fact where it got Secret Service involved, yeah, bro. Probably would have got away with that shit, not gonna cap, but it is what it is on that. So
how do you feel like they came at you? Do you feel like it was disrespectful?
Nah, I don't think it was disrespectful. I just think John was on some shit where he wasn't thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta know how shit work in order to be able to do the shit you doing. And I feel like he wasn't thinking as clearly as he could have been. And neither was I. You know what I'm saying? Because I let myself get in that position. Looking back in hindsight, it's like, you know, you could have not been in that and been good at where you at now. Like that, I feel like that situation was a major domino into why things played out for me for the 4 years after that. And
something tragic like that happens, and then something, you know, a blessing comes.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Bro. It was.
But what was that call like from them alphabet boys? You know what I mean? I would be eating, bro, you would be chilling. You just like y'all playing.
I had came home, bro. I'm in Arlington at this point because this happened in Denton, right? I'm back home in Arlington, and I get a call from DPD, and they like, yeah, this is Agent such and such. We need to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. I'm like, nope. Fuck.
Tripping. What?
Changed my number that day, I swear to God. And I didn't hear nothing for a few months. Next thing I know, I'm getting contacted by another motherfucker from that same corporate, whatever the fuck they call service.
Serious? Same number?
Nah, different number. From it was like a 972 number. The first one was a 940. And I'm like, yo, how the fuck are they? Obviously, they finding me with, you know, their resources, but it's like, why y'all including me in this shit? What y'all need? Long story short, I had to get a lawyer, had to go in there and talk to them niggas. Didn't have to do no real talking or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Lawyer took care of pretty much everything. And they weren't trying to prosecute, bro. Like, that hell almost landed in my lap. And they told me how long it was gonna be. Y'all wasn't gonna see me for a minute.
They were trying to do football numbers?
They was trying to throw the book at a nigga. I'm not even gonna cap. I was sick. I was like, nah, dog. But like I said, I ain't had to do too much talking, bro, because based on the story that I gave my lawyer, where he was able to communicate them niggas, like, long story short, it boiled down to the intent of it all. And that lesson of intent taught me so much from that moment until where I'm at now, bro. Like, God damn. Thank God I'm not in that situation no more. But you asked the question about getting through it, like, that lasted for like almost a year and a half. And it really took me battling like mental shit, not being able to be present during certain moments, not being able to enjoy like family time and shit like that. Cause I'm constantly thinking about, you know, what if that call is, you know what, we didn't get the news we wanted. It's like, fuck. You know, you gotta leave your mom and you gotta leave your family and them. That's like,
people don't talk about that.
Bro.
Yeah.
They don't. And that's what's crazy. Like, and I just thank God again, like the fact that it didn't go the way that it could have. You know what I'm saying? Like we think about how many people that we know that got locked up for certain shit. Whatever it could have been, you know, and it's like, we can't forget about them niggas because they didn't make it out of that situation. You know what I'm saying? So bless up to everybody that we know that's inside, but damn. Yeah, that's probably the biggest situation of my like 21 plus year old life that has shaped me for who I am today. For shit show.
That's why you going so hard with this, you know, your brand.
Bro.
You know, tell the people what you got coming forward. You know, what events you got going on, man.
So right now, I am in the middle of the campaign, Trusting Your Process campaign. And it's been doing numbers, bro. I've been really happy with the feedback I've been getting about it because I feel like it's been my most like prolific campaign yet as far as how I've been rolling it out, the designs themselves, the numbers I've been doing, like, and then the messages behind each piece. Like installment 1 was, you know, the beginning, trusting your process. Just wanted to do like a representation of what it means to actually you know, sit back and really allow God to do the work that it's gonna take in order to put you in the position you want to be in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just expect that shit to happen overnight. And then that led into give yourself time, which is essentially a reflection of trusting in your process. You know what I mean? Like, when you give yourself time and you really allow yourself to exist within the field of pure potentiality, anything is possible, and you just allow yourself to be patient, and then, you know, the things that your heart desires start to manifest as long as you remove yourself from the attachment of that outcome. Like, whenever I map shit out nowadays, it's like, yeah, I want it to go this way, but I won't be mad if it goes this way. You know what I mean? And just always staying in that balance helps me flow a lot easier in what it is that I'm doing. So yeah, get off on a tangent, but Trusting Your Process campaign, that's where we at right now. And that's, I've done 3 installments so far. The 4th one is coming later on this year. And that's the Get Yours installment. So I'm looking forward to that one. And then I have a campaign visual that's gonna drop behind everything that we're doing right now. So that'll be dropping in installments in itself based on the drops that I've already done. So look forward to that. And then pop-up coming April 30th. We're doing that at 100 Grand Boys back at 211. We're going up again. I'm ready for that shit. Cause the last 2 was real fire, bro. Like, I appreciate everybody that came out to them hoes. We did numbers at them hoes. My vendors did numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a real good atmosphere. Like, create the culture is gonna be one of them things that's a part of Cämplex Theory. And it may become its own entity under Cämplex Studios at some point because it'll get that big. Excuse me. But it's one of those things under Cämplex Theory right now that's just gonna be a staple of like an event that we constantly do. Like, I wanted to eventually get to the point where it's like festival size, like, and we doing shit that, you know, is a staple in the city, and like bringing out people that people don't expect to see. You know what I'm saying? So I got big plans for that shit. That
could be like a whole fair, like, you know what I mean? People like need tickets for that.
Carnival and shit.
Yeah.
Or convention, like, yeah, cause it's got that potential, bro. Like, and like I said, I got the vision, bro. So I know the type of people that I need to put in place for that. And
planning events, like, what, like, how did you get that craft? Because that's a very tedious thing to do, you know?
Bro, it's all
what
about
was that day like? What was that day like?
Oh, the first one, shit, I did shrooms and read a book the day before. I was in that bitch chilling. Because like I said, like, I don't expect things to have a certain outcome anymore. Like, I know what I want it to be, and I know I can strive for that, but I can't be mad at what happens because that was what was meant to happen. You know what I mean? So I remember the day of the first Create the Culture, like, I woke up, did maybe like a gram of shrooms, 1.5 grams, and just, you know, mellowed out. I went and washed my car, came home. Yeah, and hit it. I just went through like a little drive through that and sit in yet. Came back home, and that was right up the street and shit. So came home, started reading my book. I was reading 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. And I think the chapter that I was on at that time was, it was either the law of least effort or the law of intent and desire. And both of those are keys within those 7 spiritual laws of success. Like, those are probably one of the 2 biggest next to the law of detachment. But yeah, and then I remember it was cold as fuck that day. Like, pulled up in Dallas and it started snowing. So we just unloading the car and shit, and then got in the hell. I remember it was kind of calm for like the first hour and a half. 4 o'clock came, and then the hell went up. Like, Tiso had the sounds right, the vibe was cool. Tutu had the drinks going, and yeah, bro, we just went up. Like, it wasn't no effort that I had to put into it going the way that it did. It just went like that because it was meant to, like I said, bro. And I appreciate, like I said, everybody that came out. And I know just like that being my first pop-up and like event that I've done for the public on a scale of like that, because my show wasn't that big. Like, I think I had 90 people RSVP and maybe like a third showed up, which is still a lot of people.
Well, that is.
Yeah, it's a lot of fucking people.
That's a class, bro.
You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And but you know, I think maybe like 100+ people came through Create the Culture that first time. And to be able to operate in a room and work your way through a room and feel good while doing it and essentially just flowing the whole time, that felt good to me. I was on a high for weeks.
What was the feedback like?
people enjoyed it, and they kept like, when's the next one? You know, as soon as I walk, when the next, you know, she asked me, you know, when's the next one? It's like, come on now. I think the more that I do them hoes, like, the more people are gonna expect it to get bigger and bigger, and that's what's gonna drive me. Like, all right, not only is the expectation there, but now it's getting to a point that I knew it would be at, and that's like I said from the jump. Like, I'm my own inspiration, so I'm gonna continue to just feed myself in that sense. Like, you know how far you can take this shit, and then just take it there.
Yeah. Do you feel like fashion, like, you know, stylists are like artists? I feel like everybody goes to y'all to like look at it like that's a museum, bro. You know, that's your own museum.
Like, you have to, styling is art, you know what I'm saying? Because, and I just think of art in the sense of like, you may like something that somebody else doesn't, and vice versa. So if a stylist puts somebody in something that they see a certain way, and they style it a certain way, but the next person who doesn't understand the way that they did that doesn't like it, they can't be mad at the stylist, and then they can't say that their stylist isn't an artist because they're just putting their art, they're putting the clothing in a way that they interpret it as art onto that muse or that icon, whoever it may be, celebrity or whatever. So I just think like any artist, designer, somebody who works with, you know, fashion and like what, even like the seamstress and everybody of that nature, like those are the real artists because they the ones putting the shit together by hand most of the time. So it's like, yeah, you have to be an artist in a sense to like be able to conceptualize an idea and put it on paper, or at least communicate it to somebody who can put it together or make it tangible. That's an art in itself. But the rest is, hell yeah, you an artist. Like, cause I can make every piece that you have on right now, but only you can put that together. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and vice versa. Or somebody who actually does styling could come in and say, oh no, let me switch this around, and you wear this backwards and you wear this upside, you know, some shit like that. Boom, now you on trend in their eyes. So artists and eye beholder.
Who's your favorite fashion icon?
Lucas Sabata's up there for sure. The Young Bull. Damn.
To the wire.
I say Ye, but Ye is more of like, he's a visionary icon for me. Like, he really saw it, especially after I watched that documentary. He moved from fashion music icon to visionary icon. Like, I strive to be at that level as a visionary just in general. So he's in that column by himself. The fashion icons, Luca's up there. Damn, bro, I have like a lot of different people that I look into. It's hard to pick.
There's nothing wrong with that though. That's almost like a ball player. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. Shit. I guess I'll go ahead and put Ye in that side because he's just shit to the culture in a way that's just unmatched, bro. You said ball players, that nigga Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that nigga be fly, I'm not gonna lie. I won't say he's a fashion icon, but that nigga be clean and all. I get a lot of style inspiration from that nigga.
I wanted to ask you about that too.
Yeah, that nigga.
How do you feel about ball players? Do you feel like, because a lot of, you know, fashion, you know, and artists and stylists always tell me like, bro, they can't dress, bro. But I feel like it's everybody's style.
I mean, there are some who can dress, like that nigga. I'm not gonna try to name all the niggas that I think is fly in the league right now, because I'm gonna end up naming them all. But when it comes to hooping, like, niggas tall, you gotta remember that shit. So it's harder to buy like certain shit and it look good on a nigga that's not as tall as 6'7", 6'8" type nigga. But if you tall and you can put some shit together to the point where it look good enough to be taken, like to have a photo taken of you, and it still look good on photo, you can put some shit on, bro. And that's just my opinion. Like, but it is a lot of niggas that be pooping shit. Like, I wouldn't even, like, we ain't gonna talk about the Steph Currys and the fucking, you know, niggas like that, like, or none of like the European motherfuckers that, you know, look a certain way that we wouldn't expect them to look over here. So
Steph and them can't help it, bro. It's Under Armour.
Yeah, bro. Like, you can only wear so much.
You can't really shake back Under Armour, man. Are you wanting to like ever partner with another brand? Like, that's what he had to do.
Partner. That's a good question. I ain't never been asked that shit. I'm not against it. I think it would just be a matter of the partnership's relationship. Like, if I partner with somebody, that's how I am with collabs right now. Like, I don't want to collab with you if we ain't got a relationship and we just doing something to say we did it. Like, I can work with you and we figure out something in those lines. But as far as like a real, like, I'm putting my name on this, let's see. You know what I mean? Like, but I think when I get to that level of, you know, where I have people reaching out to me for collabs and partnerships and shit like that, it'll really just boil down to who's behind it and what type of relationship I have with that person and whether or not it's going to be feasible going forward.
Any horror like experience with this shit?
You said horror?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Like you just like a customer, man.
Oh, customers? Nah, not really. I've had a lot of, like, even just doing one-on-ones and shit, I haven't had nobody give me hell, bro. Like, and I think that's just, you know, from being an authentic nigga. Like, I don't put myself out there in a way that's misleading or that, you know, people are expecting me to be one way and then I act another. Like, I'm always straightforward about my process. I'm always straightforward about my pricing. So it's like, niggas not, if I have had a bad experience, I can't think of it because it wasn't just detrimental. Like, it never slowed me down or anything like that. I think the most, like, weird shit that happened is, you know, people stealing ideas, but that you can't control that shit. So other than that, and even that happened when I was young. Like, not, well, I can't say young, like, once happened last year, but me and her squashed that shit. But because, you know, at this point, bro, it's too much energy to be mad at niggas. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the first time it was just some shit where, you know, I presented an idea to an org and I didn't have my business side together that well. So they took advantage of what I showed them and ended up creating something on their own. Couldn't be mad at that shit, but it told me, like, all right, at least you know your shit hard. You know what I mean? Like, I just like, I saw a post today about like the yin and yang symbol that I use. And I think one of them said, everything that upsets you is just a way to teach you patience and, you know, something along the lines of a way to teach you patience and understanding, I think. So I was like, yeah, a lot of situations that I've dealt with just personally and with the brand taught me, like, bro, everything happens for a reason.
And it's not even that deep half the time, man.
It's not, bro.
Do you feel like, as black men, like, you think dudes could just talk? Because, like, I know people tripping from, like, 6th grade.
And
like,
see,
about nothing. Like, we're all, like, I don't know.
For me, I'm neutral on that shit because a lot of shit, like, it can be that deep, but 9 times out of 10, it's all about how the person is perceiving it. You know what I mean? Like, if a nigga feel played because of something X did, you know, 12 years ago, but he sees it as it being that level of a hoe ass nigga move. My bad, bro. Like, we could talk it out if you don't want to talk it out. All right, I'm gonna go this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be mad with you if you don't want to talk about it. Like, I'm trying to sit down with you. Like, I feel like we at that age. Like, if we're not sitting down and talking shit out, you spend that energy being mad. I'm gonna move on, dog.
Do you feel like, as like people, period, like, do we not talk about mental health enough, or it was just like whatever?
I think it's becoming more of a popular conversation. I think that people are starting to really get to a point where they're wanting to understand mental health and not just saying that, you know, oh, we're doing this for the trend. Like, people are all talking about it. Let's talk about it too. Like, it's getting to a point now where I think the research is being done and the procedures are being in place in order to understand this shit. So it's looking like it's going in that direction. But I think there is still a lot of taboo behind it and a lot of like misinterpretation of a lot of shit. I see people talk about anxiety the most, and it's like, okay, do we really understand what anxiety is? Because it's like, the thing that fucks me up most, like, and I just blame my mom for this and being English, you know, she's a writer, but she taught English at one point too, so a teacher. But when people say, oh, I'm getting anxiety, it's like, no, you're anxious. Just at least say it correctly if you're gonna talk about it, because in my mind, it just means you don't really understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? And that goes with anything. If you feel like, oh, I can't, if you feel like you're not saying something in the correct way, it's probably because you don't know what you're saying. And you don't really understand it. So at least ask or at least do some research. But that's a different conversation.
What do you do to keep your peace?
Meditate. Shrooms. For real. Like, I took off work and meditated today and just was in my zone, bro. Cause I wanted to do some more stuff for the brand, but I just like, I woke up and I was in the mode where I was like, you know what, I need to take today for myself. And just being able to be that aware is due to the fact that I have been taking a lot of time to meditate and sit with myself and really learn who I am as a person, to the point where I know, like, okay, I need to take this time to myself for this reason, or I need to separate myself from these people today for this reason, or, you know, not smoke today because I need to focus on my energy and working out today. So just becoming more aware and I guess loving towards myself is the best way to say it. Like, because dealing with like a brand, bro, it can be so overwhelming at points, especially to the point where you feel like you don't want to do it, because you know, imposter syndrome comes into play, and you know, you just start to feel unmotivated during certain times. You know, you're not as driven because things aren't going the way you wanted to. But you know, I always tell myself, like, I wasn't given this vision and this purpose for no reason. You know what I mean? Like, and if I stop doing what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, excuse me, I'm ultimately, you know, killing myself, bro. Because if you're not living out your purpose, you're not living. You just here, in my eyes. So, and like, if you receive that purpose from God, so, and it comes as messages, you know what I'm saying? It comes as those downloads that we receive, that our intuition listens to, in order to continue going down the path we're meant to go down, in order to fulfill that purpose. But if you're not listening to those messages, you only shooting the messenger, and you killing God, which is really killing yourself. So yeah, I'm just gonna continue to do what I gotta do.
You feel like we don't talk about God enough, or if people just be like kind of off it, like scared to talk about it?
I don't think people are scared. I think people are just more so kind of figuring it out. Like, people are really becoming more, what's the word? I want to say open-minded, but a lot of people are still getting there. But like, I definitely feel like we're in a very open-minded state of humanity right now, where people are wanting to see things from a different perspective compared to the one that they've seen their entire lives. And, you know, I just think of myself in that sense. Like, I grew up in a very religious household, church every Sunday, and was in trouble if I didn't go. But now I don't go to church at all. But I feel like I'm closer to God than I ever was when I was going to church. So I think just from the understanding that I have of the teachings of the Bible, divinity in itself, and then what life is outside of our understanding of what it is on this plane, like, and then the things that happen after we leave here, like, gaining all that knowledge has helped me really see things from a different perspective and from such an open-minded point of view, that has allowed me to say, all right, well, if people don't want to talk about God, it's probably because they don't know where they at with God. You know what I mean? Or if they're saying, oh, well, this is how I was raised. It's like, yeah, that's how you were raised. That means you were told to believe those things. What do you actually believe? So I think that those are the questions that people are starting to ask now, which has created some, you know, controversy in certain areas. But nowadays, I feel like the people I'm around, you know, like I said, my relationship with God is a lot better than it ever was. And I feel like that's the case for everybody I'm around. And it's just helping out. It's like fuel to our fire that we've already had this entire time. So I feel like everybody I'm around is good.
You talked about mom, man. Is she a big inspiration in your life?
She is, yeah. My mom is also a creative in her own way. She has her own Christian ministry, J. Stokes Writing Ministries, and you know, she's a teacher of the Bible, and she does it through poems and Christian writings and devotions and things of that nature. And she also teaches, you know, seminars and does writing classes and, you know, stuff like that. So she's on her entrepreneurial tip. So she's one of my biggest motivations and inspirations just to continue doing what I'm doing. But she's also shown me the ways in which I don't need to move as an entrepreneur because of how I've seen things unfold in her life just since the time that she's decided to be an entrepreneur. And so I feel like I get both sides of it, seeing what it'll look like if I take one route, which I tried to at one point. It didn't work out for me. But then seeing the other side of, you know, continuing to work my full-time job while I'm building up my brand to the point where it can sustain me like my full-time job can. And then, you know, eventually breaking away from that and being a full-time entrepreneur. So it's just a matter of, you know, being patient in that aspect. But she's definitely, she can relate to me as a creative, you know. And I spoke about my dad briefly and how he's, you know, he's always worked a 9 to 5 and, you know, has been working the same one his whole life. And so having that parallel in the household is, you know, taught me how to stay grounded, but also how to, you know, be a free thinker and move in the ways I need to move in order to bring to life what I want to bring to life.
What would you tell a younger you, man?
Be a fucking self. And all the other shit is dead. For real. Like, yeah, because I got to a point, like, I was like a really, what's the word I want to use? I was an odd kid. Like, I wasn't the coolest motherfucker in the class. I wasn't, you know, I was just, you know, I was just me. Like, I liked what I liked. I liked the girls. I liked the Pokemon. I liked, you know, going to the park and riding my bike. I liked skating. I just did my thing. And then I lost it at one point, trying to fit into the different circles that I found myself trying to get into as I got older. So, if, you know, let's just say I met my 13-year-old self about to go to Ferguson. Bro, just be you, and you gonna be cool. Cause me at that age would look at me now, and it's like, this guy, you know, he's a cool nigga. Yeah, if I'm gonna get there, I might as well just do me like I'm doing now. But I feel like if I hadn't, I don't regret anything. But I feel like if I hadn't made some of the choices I made back then, or if I had listened to some of the things that I was told back then, you know, I may be in a different place in life right now. But you know, we can't live like that. We can't live on what is. We have to live on what we know. So,
what was the craziest experience, you know, your mom had to get you out of as a kid? Craziest. Because my mom send them scriptures through text. It could just be random. Like, she might be feeling away that day.
Man, I got an aunt that do that shit out of Louisiana.
It's spooky.
It is. Nah, my mom, I mean, it wasn't like, I wasn't just like a mischievous little nigga. I wasn't getting into too much trouble, but like I said, I like the girls. So I was getting caught with girls in the house a lot. That's it.
Yeah.
So she would like have to like, you know, I would have to like talk her out of telling my dad so I wouldn't get my ass whooped and shit like that. But nothing too crazy, bro. It was just more of like her coming home and me hiding girls in the closet and trying to play it off, but doing too much, trying to be anxious and shit. Yeah. And then,
you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got a little sister.
Snitched on you?
Nah, she didn't. Cause I was at home when this shit happened, and she was coming home with my sister because she was, you know, younger than me. She got out of school later, so, you know, the girls. I remember it was this one time I had a game, and she was finna go and get me some food, but I had a girl over. She came back home, and then realized I was tripping. Found the girl. And never went and got my food, so I ain't eat before my game. Yeah, damn. So I was pissed, bro. I was hungry as fuck, pissed off. I got caught and still like trying to avoid an ass whooping.
How you get caught, man?
Bro, just being fucking stupid. Like, you know how like you nervous and you not sitting down, you just like moving shit around the house, you know, you jittery on the couch and shit like that. Like, she could just, I'm her son, like she could read me. So she like, what's wrong with this nigga? Yeah. And then she started looking in my room. She peeked behind the door. She see Shorty. She like, all right, man, come on.
It's time to get the fuck out. Yeah.
My mom, she don't cuss and nothing like that. She wasn't yelling and shit. She was just like, I gotta tell your dad. And he the yeller. So it's like, fuck, please don't tell this nigga.
How would you know your dad was pulling up? You hear the truck or something?
Nah, at one point he drove a Volvo and now he drives a Caddy. But I just like, you know those cues that your parents have with them footsteps that you
know, the sounds, bro. You know it's over with. You know what was
the garage? It was the fucking garage door. Like, fuck. Every time I heard that hell coming up, like, fuck this nigga home. God damn, I ain't had no time yet, dog. Yeah,
they'll lie and tell you a different time from when they're coming home.
That shit happened too. My first time I was smoking weed with one of my partners. Shout out my nigga Keenan. My dad was at work. He works in Fort Worth. We stay in the ag, bro. This nigga called the house and I said, you know, what time you coming home? Mid says, he like, I don't know why. And then I heard the tone of his voice like change. He like, this nigga, he trying to hide some shit. Let me go ahead and go home. Bro, we in the backyard of my house. This nigga pull up and is waiting like, if this the kitchen, me and Keenan outside, he's watching us in the window. And then as soon as I'm finna hit the blunt, he opened the door. What the fuck you doing, nigga? The fear of God went through me. Like, I thought this nigga was finna punch
me. Yeah. Naruto, out the gate.
Real shit.
Yeah, I've been telling you, man, you know, we not no robots. I knew you wanted some water, man. Cause Cause you was shotting it, you was taking shots.
Oh yeah, that shit burned me.
I was like, bro, this dude crazy. He taking shots just dry.
My fucking allergies be bothering me to that too. My fucking throat itching and shit.
Nah, bro.
Straight though.
I was really like, I'm not on no robotic. This ain't no job interview. We was job interviewing.
I told them I was going to an interview. They said, you got a job interview? I said, nigga, it's 7 in that.
Late at night, dude.
What the fuck? Ain't that dead.
Before we head out, man, and all that, man, you know, how do you feel like, you know, this year has been and what you got going in the future?
The year has been cool. We 3 months in, almost 4 months in now, and you know, I feel like the first quarter has gone well for me. Like, I can tell it's gonna be a fruitful year for me financially. I've made a lot of great connections for the brand already, so I can tell that the brand is about to continue to grow organically. And travel plans keep hitting my line. I feel like I'm about to see different parts of the world I haven't seen yet. Excuse me. And yeah, just, you know, going forward in the future, like, I want to finish out this campaign, and then I'm going to shift back into doing more cutting song work, and working with my seamstress and really sitting down and perfecting my craft in the sense of cutting and sewing, so that I can start pushing out garments that are, you know, of a higher quality than what my merch is at, because that's where my bread and butter is. I feel like I taught myself how to sew early, but now I really want to get into the mix of like doing projects from start to finish and putting my own shit on the runway versus having it outsourced. So I think the rest of the year is gonna be, you know, fruitful on one side with the merch, but at the same time it's about to be a very strategic and technical year for me, just due to the fact that I'm about to be learning a lot and like really putting in a lot of work on the back end to make the front end look a lot better next year. So
where can the people find you, man? Yeah,
my IG is Cämplex.cam, and the brand, even though it's called Cämplex Theory, it is spelled CAMPLEX.theory, and we all can spell theory. So my Twitter is X__C Stokes. Always been that shit since like high school. That will not changing. And yeah, anything else on there, you know, my website's in my bio, ctapparel.us. Just got some new merch in today. The Let's Grow Together hoodies and tees are going up on the site before the end of the week, so y'all be looking out for that shit. And then we got one more installment coming from the campaign, so that's coming soon.
I look up to you. I look up to the brand, man. I look forward to the future, man.
Yeah, for real. It's coming. It's gonna be bright for shit show. Like, I'm bringing shows to the ad. Like, don't nobody in the ad do fashion shows, bro. Like, I'm on that tip. So y'all be expecting that shit soon. And I'm doing shit to where it's like not just no traditional shit. Like, I'm bringing sets out again. Like, we design the sets nowadays. We design the clothes, the sets, the music, everything curated right. You know what I'm saying? It's complex shit all the way. It's not just no regular shit. It's a lifestyle.
Already.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, much love to y'all. I appreciate y'all having me. Fashion TV.